Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest episode of the best viewer made replica car in automation game. Yes, my friends, we are back with a brand new episode starring 5 of the most and latest amazing viewer made replica, real life replica built cars in automation game. And now, of course, it's time to take a look on these amazing 5 cars as always. And of course, we'll be driving them, and at the end we'll be voting on our favorite car from this video. So don't forget at the end to go to my community tab and of course to vote on your favorite car. Alright, so let's take a look and let's see what's what. Alright, so the first beast to start with is of course the one and only the Mitsubishi Evolution Lancer 9th generation. As you can see, this is of course a replica that was made by our dearest friend Mr. Reply himself from my Discord page. Now, a little brief history about the Evo 9, as everyone calls it. It was produced from the year 2005, March 2005, up to January 2007. And of course, being a rally car, this thing came with a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that was called the legendary 4G63 engine, which was actually one of my all-time favorite engines ever because it was so powerful and so tunable. And obviously this thing came, because of that, this thing came with many versions. There was the 290 horsepower version, which was this one. There was the 320 horsepower, the 350, the 380, and the 400 horsepower, around 5 different versions. And I think there was also more than that. I'm not 100% sure, but on Top Gear they mentioned there were like 4 or 5 different versions of it, which was insane at the time. And being a 4-door sedan, which was absolutely great because that meant this thing is actually super sensible, super practical. You have a big trunk or big boot, as our British friends call it. You have 4 doors. It can seat 5 people inside it comfortably and safely. It was perfect. And not only that, because this thing was extremely high-techy at the time, this thing came with many computers that actually controlled the differentials and the grip and basically everything, because this thing was phenomenal to drive on the road and even off the road. Inside, you can actually select between 3 modes. There was gravel mode, there was snow, and road, which was amazing at the time. There was like no touch screens, none of that nonsense, but at the time you could have actually selected some sort of driving mode, which I think sharpened the throttle response and the suspension stiffness and the brakes and stuff. It was amazing at the time, and actually it's still pretty darn good even till this day. And of course, thanks to Mr. Reply, now we have an amazing replica to drive and to film in this awesome video. So of course, let's take a look on how this thing drives and let's vote on it if you like it at the end of the video. So driving the Evo 9 replica in BeamNG, as you can see, I went with of course the Pikes Peak map gravel in BeamNG.drive, which was I think the perfect map for the job, because look at that. This thing was so beautiful to drive. It was basically set up for the road and for a gravel rally circuit like this one. It was so fun to drive. It was so predictable, and basically everything was set up perfectly and identically to the real deal, which was amazing. The version that you are seeing in front of you, which was made by our dearest friend Mr. Reply, he made the 320 horsepower version of it with of course the 6-speed manual gearbox. It weighed around 1490, which was absolutely perfect, like the real deal. Everything is identical: the tire size, the brakes, the suspension, the gearbox ratio, everything was absolutely identical, which is amazing. Look at that. Driving this thing was amazing. This thing did 0 to 100 in around 4.5 seconds, 4.4 seconds. A quarter mile in around 12.6, 12.5, which was amazing. It was just perfect, really, really perfect. And now, of course, I'll shut my mouth a little bit, and now let's enjoy some Evo 9 craziness. So here we go. And of course, don't forget, if you like it, don't forget to vote on it at the end of the video. Alright, so the second beast to talk about is of course the 1993 Toyota Celica STI. Yes, it was called the STI, that was the name of it. And this is basically the 5th generation of course, our favorite, the Toyota Celica. It was released to the public in September 1989, and it was killed or replaced actually, at also September 1993. This car came with many different versions. There was like a notchback, a convertible, a liftback coupe, a liftback normal body. It came with many engines, many gearboxes, and many things. But our dearest friend Mr. Big Boy Shaib gave us a replica of the base version with of course the 1.6 liter 4A-FE 4-cylinder engine with of course a front-wheel drive system and a 5-speed manual gearbox. Now, to be honest, I was reading about it on Wikipedia, and it was very impressive. They made a lot of effort to make it absolutely sweet. And this 5th generation was the first car Toyota ever made with their Toyota active control suspension. Obviously not on this version, it was on the top high-level version. It was sold only in Japan, which basically had hydromatic suspension, hydromatic complex computerized suspension, to make it as comfortable and as, I don't know, as good as possible. But obviously that was extremely expensive, extremely complex, so not many people actually bought it. So yes, so forget about that. Let's continue talking about this beast. Now this car came with like around 104 horsepower, 5-speed manual front-wheel drive, but at the same time it was really sweet to drive. Absolutely sweet to drive. It felt lightweight, it was made perfectly, all the numbers are perfect. Everything is absolutely sweet. So many thanks, Mr. Big Boy Shaib. The car looks and drives really sweetly, as you will be seeing right now. And we are off. As you can see, I went with the Top Gear test track because it was just the perfect track to test this awesome car. Really sweet track. Alright, so let's see what we have here. Approaching the first corner, as you can see, acceleration was pretty aggressive, a lot of wheel spin. And this thing has an open differential up front, so I'm not really expecting a tough performance, but it was actually very sweet to drive. No understeer, surprisingly, on many. I tried really hard to see if this thing will understeer or not, but it was actually very planted. Here we go, the first corner, Chicago. It was absolutely sweet, no problem whatsoever. And now of course putting the hammer down, all 105 horses. Wow, this thing looks very sweet actually. I love those pop-up headlights. They are very sweet. Here we go, approaching Hammerhead. Now this is a very tough corner because a lot of cars will understeer here. Yes, there was a little bit of understeer, but this thing really dealt with it so good. Alright, putting the hammer down again, and let's see what will happen. Here we go, the follow through very neatly, obviously not lifting the throttle. And here we go. Whoa, that was really sweet. That was really sweet. That was really sweet. Here we go. So coming up to the second to last corner, braking hard, suspension a little bit wallowy, taking the corner very neatly, micro gum bone. Here we go, turning in, no drama whatsoever, and across the line. That was really sweet. Absolutely sweet. What a car. What a brilliant car. Nice work, Mr. Big Boy Shaib. Alright, so the third beast to talk about, which is of course another Toyota, but this is not a classic Toyota. This is a very modern Toyota. This is the 2020 Toyota Yaris GR. And this is actually one of my all-time favorite modern cars because it is really special. Like extremely special. All of my life I've known the name Yaris to be a very cheap, boring Toyota car, but this thing changed the whole recipe. Now of course the Toyota Yaris GR was of course made in the year 2020 to the present. Obviously it's still in production. Came obviously with the many different versions, 4 or 5-door hatchbacks and 3-door hatchbacks, and the one that we are interested with is this one, the 3-door hatchback, the GR. The GR came with a very interesting 3-cylinder turbo engine, Yes, I've never ever thought about saying these two words, interesting and 3 cylinders. Never. But this thing has it. This thing came with the legendary engine, the G16E-GTS 3-cylinder turbo, which is producing, and I'm not joking, 268 horsepower in this tiny car. This little lightweight hatchback, it's being powered by a 3-cylinder turbo with 268 horsepower. That's amazing. 0 to 100 in 5.2 seconds with a 6-speed manual gearbox. It's just perfect. Top speed around 230 kilometers per hour. It's lightweight, it's very nimble, the brakes are amazing, the suspension, the engine, it's just perfect. And as you can see, it looks very, very, very modern and very, very sweet. It's still a hatchback, it's still practical. And of course, the creator, Mr. Tom, he made this thing and it looks like supremely like the real deal. The numbers, the brakes, the suspension, the tires, the engine, the gearbox, the chassis, the materials, all perfect. Very, very, very perfect job, Mr. Tom. Absolutely perfect job. And now, of course, it's time to take it on the road and to see how this thing will actually perform. So let's take a look and let's see what's what. Alright, so driving the Toyota Yaris GR. Now, as you can see, this thing is very, very sweet to drive. And this is obviously not front wheel drive. All of that power is being sent to all 4 wheels. This little rocket ship, it has 4-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive actually, 6-speed manual gearbox, all of that power, and no weight actually to lug around. This thing is so lightweight. Look at that. It's so crazy to drive, and this brilliant lakeside track in BeamNG, it's just the perfect track to test this thing. Look at that. 3 cylinders. The creator gave this car a beautiful looking interior, and there's some other details like twin exhaust, which they are actually connected. They are not really fake. As we all know, the 3-cylinder in automation has only a single exhaust, but the creator did some automation magic here to make the second exhaust actually work. Look at that. I mean, seriously, this thing is just amazing to drive. Taking each corner, like, it's so precise, you can just steer it in any direction you want and it just goes. There's a ton of grip, there's a very, very precise steering, and the speed, the acceleration, the brakes, wow, the brakes on this thing are really, really strong. Look at that. Yes, I know I went off, but being extremely lightweight and very grippy, maintain control again is amazing, really. I like this thing. Really, Mr. Tom did a wonderful work. Absolutely beautiful work on this thing. Very, very nice work. Extremely nice work. Very, very good work indeed, my friend. And of course, if you like this car, don't forget to vote on it at the end of this video. Wow, what a car. What a car indeed. Alright, now this is to me, it's like there's nothing better than this, because this is the 1992 Ford Crown Victoria replica, which was made by my dearest friend, Mr. Canola Skies himself. And well, he did, how can I say this? He did a wonderful, legendary job. Look at that. The car itself, the details, the interior, the numbers. Wow, not only that, I mean, to many people this is just another boring car, or just like a normal car to many people, but to me this is everything, because this is this is actually not one, this is the all-time favorite car, because this is the Crown Victoria, the legendary cop car, the legendary cab, the yellow cab that moved America around. The legendary car that drove me into schools and into college and everything. Well, to be honest, not this particular model, but it's still the same model, the same car basically, but not this model. Because this is the 1992 pre-facelift model. My own car, the car that I really adore and love, is the facelifted model basically, which actually looked a lot better than this. But good news, Mr. Canola Skies actually told me and showed me they actually also made a replica of the facelifted model, basically my own car, which was amazing. So amazing job, Mr. Canola Skies. So let's talk about a little history about this beast here. So this car was released in 1991 by of course Ford Motor Company. This car was pretty much an old school body on frame V8 rear-wheel drive four-door sedan. The last one, actually, the last one on the face of Earth, and they called it the Panther platform. All Crown Vics from the year 1991 to the end of it in 2011 came with the same 4.6 liter single overhead camshaft V8, pushing all the way from 190 horsepower all the way to the top model, which was the COP, the Interceptor version, the Police Interceptor with 250 horsepower. I'm talking about the Crown Vic. I'm not talking about any other versions of the same car, only the Crown Vic. Now, the Crown Vic itself came with many versions. This thing came with a base model, came with an LX model, an S model, a Police Interceptor model, and I think there was a version called the Touring model, which was, I don't know, a very special version of it. Some versions came with ABS, some versions came without ABS, but all of them came with the same 4-speed automatic gearbox, except of course the police version. They came with a different, beefier gearbox, and of course a different final drive ratio. So the reason that I really adore this car, and the reason that everyone actually adored this car now, before it was just a regular car, no one cared about it, but now, after its demise, after of course they stopped making it, like for example a lot of YouTubers, they started to actually take these cars and they started doing special events with them, special tuning and special things to them, and people are starting to fall in love with them again. Other versions that people loved, like the Mercury Marauder, which came with a much more powerful version of the same engine, and of course the Lincoln Town Car, which was a very luxurious version of the same car, basically the same chassis, the same engine, same everything, but with a different, prettier body and interior. I like this car. I adore this car because to me it's Genesis. It's the car that made me fell in love with V8s, American cars, the car that drove me around since I was a little kid until now. I still use it as my daily driver and I'm proud of it. It still runs fine. It needs a little work now, but it's really a very hardcore workhorse. It just runs and runs, and it's just amazing in every single way. It's a workhorse. It's not a luxury beast. It's not a sports car. It just keeps on working, and it's very tough. This is why police force loved it, because it's so tough. It's actually quick. It's not slow actually, and it's very easy to repair if something happens. It's just a brilliant car, and of course thanks to Mr. Canola Skies, he made this brilliant replica. I really like, when I saw that thing on my Discord, I was extremely happy to see it, and when he showed me the facelifted model, I just wow, like seriously wow. The interior, he really made it as close as possible, of course being limited with automation resources and mods. He made a brilliant job. As you can see right now in front of you, there are 3 different versions. There's of course a modded BeamNG Crown Vic, as you can see, which you can download from BeamNG itself. It's really basic and it's really sweet. This is the last generation, and on the right side in gray, this is the fake Crown Vic that they made in BeamNG to people, you know, to drive around. And I thought okay, let's put them side by side to compare them. I mean, what can I say? I can just tell stories. I can tell many stories with this thing. I mean, come on, this is just Genesis to me. And look at that, it's just brilliant. It's very practical, it's very comfortable, it's sporty if you want to, and they are actually tunable now. I saw a lot of amazing things they can do to them right now. I mean, that's very special, because after they stop production, after they stop producing them, a lot of aftermarket companies now are started to produce aftermarket parts to them, which is good news to me. So who knows what will I do, what will I be doing in the future for my own car. So of course, big thanks to Mr. Canola Skies, really big thanks, and if you like it, don't forget to vote on it at the end of the video. Alright, so the next and the final beast for tonight, it's called the Citroen BX4 TC. And it was made by our dearest friend Mr. Inf2 from my Discord page. And according to him, and I'm quoting here, he said, a replica of the Citroen BX4 TC homologation car. The BX4 TC is known for being the worst among all Group B cars, being extremely heavy for the class, underpowered, massive, and sluggish. Both the road legal and the rally utilized Citroen Hydromatic suspension. Okay, now to be honest with you, I'm not really a huge fan of Citroen. Like I've seen them, I've never drove them. I've never actually seen them a lot in real life so much. I've seen them back home, but not really here. But this BX4, I was watching some history films about it on the Group B. To be honest, it's really special. Like it's really special. And Mr. Inf2, he definitely said it all basically in this little quote. It feels heavy. It really feels heavy. Alright, now to be honest with you, I was looking at the history of this thing. So this thing was made in the year 1985 with the BX GT. And then of course they entered this thing with the Group B Rally at 1986, and they made of course the BX4 TC version of it. Now, the reason why this thing is extremely slow, number one, it's very heavy. The body itself, it was just steel body, and it wasn't really that impressive when it comes to technology and tooling back then. Not only that, this thing came with a 2.1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo, which was actually the capacity, it's not bad, but for some reason this thing only made 200 horsepower. That's it, 200 horsepower at 5,250 RPM. That was weird. It's a 4-cylinder engine. And it made very little amount of horsepower, even with a turbo, and the RPM was so little. It felt like a lazy 4-cylinder turbo engine. Especially this replica in BeamNG, it's really sluggish, really laggy, really heavy. But at the same time, it was still fun. Like for some reason, throwing it around corners, especially on rally stages, it was fun in BeamNG. But on tarmac, oh no, definitely no. But of course, thanks to Mr. INF2 for making this brilliant replica. I mean, yes, I know it's not the best car on earth, but as a replica in automation, Mr. INF2 did a wonderful work with, of course, with the suspension setup, of course the engine itself, the gearbox ratios, the brakes, and the styling. These things are definitely not easy to replicate, and he did a wonderful work. Alright, so now of course it's time to drive it around and let's see what's what with this thing. And if you like it, don't forget to vote on it at the end of this video. So here you go. Alright, so driving the Citroen. Well, to be honest with you, it's really fun. As I mentioned earlier, this thing it's really fun on loose surfaces. I mean, look at that. I mean, the handbrake action is just amazing on this thing. Yes, the engine is laggy. It's super laggy actually. And it's super smoky, surprisingly. After the latest update with BeamNG and automation, such cars from the 80s with a lot of air-fuel ratio, they are smoking like a choo-choo train, which is really crazy. Seriously, this thing is smoking like a diesel car. The black smoke, look at that. It is just crazy really, but it's still a lot of fun on loose surfaces. So I'm guessing the Group B spirit is still within this car. Look at that. And this amazing map, the industrial map in BeamNG, it is so much fun. Yes, it's super tight, you need to be really careful. Any little mistake and you can wrap yourself around, I don't know, a telephone pole or a rail track pole or something, which is really crazy, but it is a lot of fun, really. So let's enjoy some rallying and let's have some fun here. Here we go. Alright, so that's the end of this video. Which one of these cars did you like the best? Tell me in the comment section below. Really, I would love to know which one was your favorite. Don't forget to tell me in the comment section below, and of course to go to my community tab. Also the link in the description below to vote on your favorite car. And that's pretty much it, my friends. I really had so much fun driving these amazing 5 cars. Really, I had so much fun. Big thanks for everyone for sending their amazing cars. Such cars are really amazing, especially after the latest automation update. Now people are super creative with interiors and exterior options and many things. So really, very nice work, my friends, indeed. And of course, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, get subscribed, share the video if you want to share it, and of course, big thanks, huge thanks to all my Patreon subscribers for supporting me and giving me more motivation to do more and more for you guys. Really big thanks from all of my heart. All right, everyone, so I will see you guys very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now, my friends.